Hi, friends. Welcome back. Last chapter was a jam-packed chapter. We got a lot of information about our main suspect, Pete, and kind of his history. We also met a new character, his little brother, Buddy, who is the one that kind of tells us quite a bit about Pete and his character. I ended yesterday by talking about character traits for Pete, and he is very protective of his little brother. We learn about the situation that happened in Maine before they moved, and we learn that that was the little brother's doing, that they had made kind of a silly choice and taken the van just to play a joke on the owner of the bakery. But Pete ended up taking the blame, and he, for the first time in his life, probably is what Buddy said, told a lie to the police and said that he had been the one to do it. All to protect his little brother. So I left off by saying we got a lot of information about Pete, but what we still don't know is who actually took those baseballs. That is still to be determined. So here we are back for chapter 9. Let's jump right in. You have to tell Officer Fallon, Ruth Rose said. He has to let your brother out of jail now. Okay, let me lock up the trailer, Buddy said. A few minutes later, the 3 kids headed over to the police station with Buddy. Pal led the way, snuffling his nose along the ground. Why did you and Pete leave Maine? Josh asked Buddy. The teenager shrugged. After I got into trouble with Fizzo, Pete decided we should move to someplace new. We're headed south. What about school? Dink asked. Pete's homeschooling me, Buddy said. He's real smart. That's when people do their learning at home, and it's normally moms and dads or an adult that does it. But again, Pete is that big brother. He's really taking on a lot of responsibility for his brother, so he's teaching him at home. Why did you stop in Greenlawn? Asked Ruth Rose. We ran low on cash, so we stopped here for a while so Pete could earn more money, Buddy said as they walked. He got a job painting a house about 10 miles from here. Soon as he's done, we're supposed to head to Florida. Have you guys ever been there? Yes, my grandmother lives in Florida, Ruth Rose said. She told Buddy about the gold mystery that they solved the last time they visited her grandmother. I'm not familiar with that story. Maybe if you've read some other books in the series, they're kind of making a reference to another case that they solved or helped to solve. Soon they were standing in front of the police station. Don't worry about Officer Fallon, Josh said. He's a nice guy. The kids climbed the steps. Josh tied Pal to a railing. Stay and behave, Josh told his dog. Pal woofed as the 4 kids walked into the building. Ruth Rose knocked on Officer Fallon's door. Come in, a voice said, and they trooped inside. The police chief was sitting at his computer. He was staring at the screen and sipping from a mug of tea. Officer Fallon glanced up. Hello again. Who's this? He asked, nodding at Buddy. This is Buddy Unkenholtz, Dink said. He's Pete's younger brother. Hello, young man, Officer Fallon said. He stood up and reached a long arm across his desk to shake hands. Is my brother okay? Buddy asked. Yes, but he won't talk to me, Officer Fallon said. He pointed to the long sofa. Have a seat, kids. When they lined up on the sofa, Officer Fallon smiled at Buddy. You and your big brother look a lot alike, he said. Pete didn't take those baseballs, Buddy said. Oh, he insists he did, Officer Fallon said. How do you know otherwise? Pete must think I took those balls, Buddy said. He's saying he did it, so I won't get in trouble. Officer Fallon tapped a pencil against his teeth and stared at Buddy. Pete says he took the balls. You say he's lying to protect you. Who should I believe? He asked. But my brother is honest, Buddy blurted out. He wouldn't steal anything. You can call anyone back home. They all call Pete Honest Abe, which is a reference to Abraham Lincoln, a president of the United States who was very well known for his honesty, and they used to call him Honest Abe, and that is what friends from home used to call Pete, Honest Abe. Officer Fallon nodded. I already made a phone call to the police chief in Penobscot, Maine, he said. He told me about the van, and he said he's pretty sure your brother had nothing to do with it. Thing is, Pete insisted he was the one driving the van that night. Buddy blushed. That was me and Fizzo Martin, he said, looking at his feet. Pete wasn't even there. Officer Fallon stared at the unhappy boy. So Pete lied to the Maine police and about the van to protect you. he said. "And now you tell me he's lying again." "Yes, sir," Buddy said, "but neither of us took those baseballs. Why can't you let him out of jail?" Officer Fallon shook his head. "The baseballs are still missing. I'm sorry, son, but until they're returned and the thief is caught, Pete has to stay where he is." Quite the bummer, because if we are to believe Buddy, his brother is innocent. He is innocent. But you can kind of understand where Officer Fallon is coming from as well. Pete has confessed. He has said he is the one that took the baseballs. And until they're able to figure out any differently, Pete is still stuck in jail. Until next time, friends, I will see you soon.